They used to invade with tanks. Now they come in with telegrams. And when the bullets no longer work, guess what? They send whispers. In August of 2025, the world had once again a very familiar sound, a trembling echo of a failed coup in Mali. 2 generals in chains, a French national behind bars, and a nation once again forced to ask, who pulls the strings behind the curtain? Because coups don't happen in the dark by accident. They are born in the shadows, and desperation has a passport. Mali is no stranger to storms. It has seen kings rise, colonizers fall, and betrayal repeat like seasons. But this time, something feels different. Colonel Assimi Goïta, the soldier who sent friends packing and reclaimed Mali's voice, now stands at the center of another storm. This time, not from rebels, but from men in uniform once sworn to defend the same flag. And lurking somewhere in the background, as always, is that invisible hand, foreign interests wrapped in diplomatic suits and media smiles. So when the news broke of a coup attempt foiled with a French citizen arrested, the continent watched, not with surprise, but with deja vu. On August 15, 2025, Mali's government announced the arrest of General Abass Dembele, a former governor of Mopti, General Nema Sagara, a senior Air Force commander, and Yann Vezelier, a French national allegedly tied to intelligence work. The accusation? A coordinated plot to destabilize state institutions and reverse Mali's sovereign path. The timing was suspiciously convenient right after Mali's decision to end military cooperation with France and expelling 5 embassy staff and suspended all joint security operations or programs. In other words, the house was being cleaned and the rats started running. The state TV showed 11 suspects lined up, stripped of ranked insignia, and officials said the plan involved stirring unrest in the capital, infiltrating communications, and coordinating sympathetic officers to seize control of Bamako's radio and the army command posts. It sounds familiar, right? It should. That is the same blueprint that was used in Burkina Faso just months earlier. The same playbook. Let's talk about Yann Vezelier, right? A 43-year-old French national working in Bamako as a logistics consultant. Malian intelligence now claimed that he was funneling information between disaffected officers and external contacts in Ouagadougou and Abidjan, both long-standing nodes of French influence. I repeat, both long-standing nodes of French influence. The connection didn't seem surprising to anyone in Bamako's intelligence circles. The DGSE, France's external intelligence agency, has a history that reads like a spy novel written in margins of African sovereignty, right? From Operation Serval to secret operations or missions in Burkina Faso, DGSE operatives have been caught before, always under the same banner of protecting French nationals. But Malians have learned to decode the phrase. It means protecting French interests. Now, Colonel Assimi Goïta's government insists that Vezelier was no rogue traveler. He was a courier in a wide psychological war to weaken the junta, reopen French access to Mali's mineral contracts, and punish the Sahel for choosing independence. Paris moved quickly. The French Foreign Ministry denied any involvement and called the charge unfounded. and demanded consular access for their citizens. Diplomatic sources told Le Monde that France categorically rejects the idea that it sponsors any attempt to destabilize Mali. Yet the same France has never condemned the agents already imprisoned in Mali since 2022 for espionage. Nor has it denied the logistic links discovered between the DGSE field teams and journalistic consultants operating in the region. So when Paris says we had nothing to do with it, remember, they also said that before agents were caught in Bamako last year, before the emails linked in Burkina Faso, and before soldiers were photographed at a supposed NGO or non-governmental organization's compound. France's credibility in West Africa today is like a broken mirror. Even if you polish it, the cracks still show. So let's connect the dots, right? In the last 24 months, Burkina Faso, August 2023, a coup attempt was crushed. The DGSE fingerprints alleged, and in Niger of 2024, France again loses access to uranium mines, and they tried to sanction them, but failed. In 2024, there was Chad, where managed transition begins to wobble. And in Mali of 2025, another plot, another foreign link. Different countries, same handwriting. Because when an empire begins to sink, it thrashes. And France is thrashing, right? It's thrashing economically, diplomatically, morally. From its energy crisis at home to the loss of African bases, Paris faces the one enemy it has never prepared for: a generation of Africans who can see through the PR. That is why they launched the media outlets like ZOA, funded NGOs disguised as cultural programs, and whisper partnerships while plotting surveillance. It's not courage, it's survival. Now, let's be honest, right? Not every shadow comes from abroad, right? Mali's house itself is not without cracks. There are officials or officers who feel sidelined by Goita's inner circle. There are businessmen losing contracts once brokered through Paris. And then there are civilians torn between the promise of sovereignty and the pain of sanctions. These are the pressure points foreign interests exploit. They feed the bitterness, sponsor disinformation, and amplify divisions until the nation starts arguing with itself. My brothers and sisters, that is how recolonization begins, not with invasion, but with infiltration. Now, some analysts question whether this coup was genuine or a purge. Could the arrest also serve as a warning to would-be dissenters? Maybe. But here's the truth. Even if it was exaggerated, the intent behind these plots is real. Because every time Mali announces a failed coup, somewhere in a European boardroom, someone has already drafted the press release for a return to democracy. They don't fear dictatorship. They fear disobedience. Now, after the arrests, Mali doubled down. It ended all counter-terror missions with France, strengthened security cooperations with Russia, also reaffirmed its alliance with Burkina Faso and Niger under the Alliance of the Sahel States, the AES. Meanwhile, France faces lawsuits over unpaid uranium contracts and frozen assets. Every failed coup cost them not just influence, but legitimacy. Mali's measure was clear. If you can't defeat us with soldiers, you will not defeat us with spies. It's not happening. Family. Let me fix my mic. This is bigger than Mali. Every coup attempt is a test, a question whispered to the entire continent. Will you protect what you reclaimed? Because sovereignty without vigilance is an unlocked door. We must train journalists who investigate instead of imitate. We must fund our own intelligence, build our own satellites, guard our data, our minerals, our mines. The enemy no longer wears a uniform. It wears a logo. It no longer invades, it invests. And the price is always control. So Mali, hold the line. You have weathered coups, sanctions, propaganda, and still stand tall. To every African youth watching this, remember, the real battle is not for power. It's for perception. If you let others narrate your story, they will narrate your downfall. They failed in Mali. They failed in Burkina Faso. They will fail again. Because truth, once awakened, cannot be colonized.